Hello and welcome to episode 38 of Mathghamhain Morsels. This is again in the Sanguine Start series. And in this one, I'm going to show you guys how I make my Mediterranean chicken. Normally I'll do this up with either naan or pita and some other ingredients, but it all starts with the marinade. So, in this bowl, I just have 5 kaffir lime leaves. If you can't find kaffir lime leaves, you can add just some lime zest and juice, but they have a slightly different taste, so if you can find them, go for some kaffir lime. You might not be able to find whole leaves. You can go for kaffir lime powder, which is also delicious and has a really nice smell and flavor behind it. So it's going to start with that. I'll just start adding in my dry ingredients before I add in my wet ingredient. So, if you've watched previous episodes, you know I love my garlic, so I'm going to add in a fair bit of smoked garlic. Then going to add in black garlic. I'm just going to finish off this container of black garlic. I'll need to get some more. Some coriander. And this coriander is not wanting to go very quick. Let me pop this side and there we go. That's a bit better. So that's just some ground coriander. A bit of smoked cumin. Some roasted garlic. Again, I absolutely love my garlics. And then this is where some of the expensive spices are going to come in, because I'm going to throw in a few threads of saffron. And then one thing that I can't really have Middle Eastern Mediterranean food without including some of this. It is a seasoning that not many people seem to know much about, and that is some sumac. It has a lovely floral lemony smell to it. I just absolutely love it. And then I like smoke, so I'm going to build the smoke a bit more. Since I won't be able to grill these, I'm going to use some of that smoke powder that I have. Give it a sprinkling of that. And then add to that one of my smoked salts. And actually, rather than using that one, I'm going to use my Alderwood smoked salt. So give it a fair grind of the salt. So that's all the dry ingredients for this. There's only going to be one wet ingredient, and it's more of a wet-ish because it's yogurt. And whenever you do this, you want to use a really nice Greek yogurt. Or you can also use a Skyr or any really good tangy yogurt will work. But you want it to be plain. You don't want any flavors added into it other than the flavors that you're adding to it. One of the types that I absolutely love is Greek Gods Greek yogurt. It is fantastically thick and creamy. So I'm going to add a fair bit of that. into this, but not the entire container because I want to be able to make a riata, or it's similar to tzatziki. It has a bunch of different names depending on which nationality of cuisine you're talking about. It's this fantastic yogurty sauce that goes on a lot of Middle Eastern and Mediterranean food. And now, I'm going to throw in some sliced chicken breast. I got it in fairly chunky slices so that it has a nice texture to it still. So you take this and let me get the cutting board since it's been contaminated with raw chicken out of the way. And this, I'm just going to get my hands in, or my hand in, the one that I have gloved up, and just mix in those dry ingredients with that yogurt and my slices of chicken. And once I have that all incorporated together, the leaves that I put in, the kaffir lime leaves, just kind of snap because they're dried kaffir lime leaves. But they'll impart a lovely flavor, and I will be pulling them out when I go to actually cook the chicken, so I'm not worried that they have their fairly woody stock still on it. So this is all going to get bunged into a plastic bag and let sit for about 12 to 24 hours. And that will allow all those flavors to really just permeate the chicken and become absolutely delicious. And we will pick this up tomorrow after that marination period. So I will see you all tomorrow. Okay, so here we are with my chicken having been marinated all day through the night. So the next step is just, we want to get the chicken, and you want to get some skewers that you soak if they're wooden. If they're metal, you don't have to worry about soaking them. And get chunks of chicken onto your skewers. And I'm doing this over top of my greased broiling pan that I'm going to use in order to actually cook the chicken. As you spike your chicken, it helps to kind of twist the skewer. Helps it go through all the way. So the skewers, I soak them in some water for a fair bit. At least 15 minutes whenever you do this. But you can soak them for longer. Longer doesn't harm the skewer. But you want to make sure that the skewers do get soaked with the water so that they don't burn as you cook. Because otherwise, these will start to burn and you can potentially get them to flare up if you aren't careful. And you can decide how you want to skewer your chicken. I've been doing mine just straight through, but you can, instead of doing it that way, decide that you want to do one where it's like this, and then cross over and skewer down. Either way works, as long as it gets onto the skewer. This way you can get more chicken onto each skewer, but you don't get as nice and crispy bits as you do when you do it the just straight down long way, because you kind of have certain areas a bit hidden by the chicken as it goes on. But that is entirely personal choice. And this is all, once it's on the skewers, going to go into a already preheated oven set to broil. And you want to broil at your highest broil temp. Just make sure that you don't stab yourself as you're skewering your meat. This already smells amazing, though, due to that marinade that we did. Ah. And that's when you know it's going to be good, when even just coming out of the marinade, you're getting all those seasonings that went into the marinade, and that lovely tanginess of Greek yogurt just permeating the air. I think was the last piece, or it might have been the second to last piece. Let's see, can I find any additional pieces? It was second to the last piece. And I can get another piece on the skewer. There we go. Get those all laid out. And get my gloves off. Use the glove as it's peeling off to grab the bag. And this step isn't needed, but I tend to do it just to make sure that it gets a nice bit of coloration. I just pat the surface of the chicken down a little bit to make sure that that sauce doesn't hide too much of the flesh. And with that, this is all going to go into that preheated oven set to broil, and I will be back in a moment to show you guys how I make the sauce that accompanies this. Okay, so with the chicken that I've just made into kebabs, I'm also going to be doing a riata tzatziki, however you want to call it. It's a just very simple yogurty sauce that you can spoon onto things, dip into. Tastes delicious. The first step I already did, because it's one that doesn't need a demonstration. It's just grating some cucumber, salting the cucumber, and then once it's salted, letting it sit over top of a bowl in a mesh strainer, because it will drip a lot of liquid out of here. That is all from the cucumber. If you don't do this step, your riata can become very runny, which spoils the texture to me. So now I'm going to throw the cucumber in with the Greek yogurt that, remember I said I was going to reserve part of it. Well, this is why I reserved part of it. throw the cucumber in. Then I want to add some additional seasoning, so I'll do some of my smoked garlic. Give a good amount of every seasoning that you do in this because it's an entire sauce, so it has a good amount of body to it. I'm going to again use some sumac because this gives just an absolutely delicious lemony floral flavor to the dish. Some kefir lime. This time I'm using the powder so that it can mix in throughout. And I'm going to add a little bit of smoked cumin. And coriander as well. This sauce, though, you can adapt it however you want. The basic recipe is Greek yogurt, cucumber, some sort of herb or seasoning, so mint, dill, kefir lime, leaf, just leaf, cilantro. You can do anything in here that you want. And you just mix that all together and make sure that all of the yogurt has some of that grated cucumber and is seasoned up how you want. This is one of the things that kind of blooms as you let it sit, so give it a taste. See if you want to add some salt to it or if anything else is needed. For me, I want a little bit of acidity, so I'm just going to add some crystallized lemon. Just to up the natural acidity of Greek yogurt by that little bit that's needed. There we go. Give this another taste. That will do the trick. So now I'm just going to move this to my refrigerator until I'm ready to use it. And let these flavors marry together a bit more. If you do this ahead of time, you give the flavors more time to mature and build off of each other. But it's also something that you can whip up right when you're about to use it. Either way, just like I said, if you do it ahead of time, it gives it a more complex flavor. Okay, so here we are with my absolutely beautiful looking chicken, fresh out of the oven after just a very short rest. It's thin cut, it doesn't need very long. Just on top of some naan, which I've lightly buttered and put some garlic on. As you can see, the chicken got a nice bit of coloration. That's because I put it on the highest rack of my oven right underneath the broiler, so it would get some good coloration. And onto this, I'm just going to throw some of my tzatziki, or my riata, as I called it, and Prospero's having trouble with. At least she was on the stream. So you can top this up however you want. You can top it up with onion, with lettuce. You can just have the chicken on some naan, like I do with the tzatziki. goddamn, this is delicious. You're getting all those seasonings that we threw in here. The sumac, which I'm going to add a little bit more sumac. This is fairly common in the Middle East and Mediterranean in general. Sumac is put onto a table as just another like salt, pepper type deal. Absolutely delicious. Mm. In this chicken, you get the lemoniness of the sumac, the floralness of the sumac and the saffron, that slightly acidic fattiness of the Greek yogurt, and of course you get a bit of that from the riata spooned on top, but just by itself you'd get some of that. Mm-hmm. The lime notes of the kefir lime. Everything is just playing together beautifully in this. And it is delicious. It's fairly simple to make, as you guys have seen. Mm. You can broil this up, you can grill this up, you can do this a score of different ways, add on different toppings, lettuce and onion and tomato and sauteed mushrooms and all kinds of stuff like that. You can do it fairly plain like I am right now. The only thing that I'm having with it is some dolmas. Little stuffed grape leaves with a nice acidic liquid that they've just been allowed to sit in. Absolutely delicious with this. But you can adapt this recipe a bunch of different ways. You can take it from being a Mediterranean flavored chicken and swap out every seasoning I put into the riata and into the marinade, and you can make this into any nationality. It's just really damn good. So, have you guys had something like this before? If not, give it a go. If you have, try making it slightly different than you've had it. Or make something entirely different. Explore, have fun. You can serve this with rice rather than naan. You can do all kinds of things. You can swap out the meats. You can do it with pork. You can do it with beef. You can do it with chicken. You can do it with goddamn anything. Experiment. Have fun with your food. Explore. Enjoy your life. And with that, I'm going to polish off my dinner and let you guys go. Have a good one all.